Bruh.
The fuck am I doing? I don't even like gherkins. As they say though, a gherkin a day keeps the bad gamer vibes away. The hell is wrong with me? What's going on, my fellow nerds? It's Cynical and welcome back to another video. Today for you guys, I wanted to do a video just kind of talking about a bunch of stuff that I ended up missing out on during my sort of 2-month hiatus thingy-mabop. There's been quite a few things that have transpired throughout the month of November and December of 2020, as well as a couple of things that have happened during January 2021. So I thought we'd just use this video to just essentially catch up on a few things, throw my opinions into the opinion box, because, you know, my opinions matter so much. Highly valued, because as we all know, until Cynical actually puts his 2 cents into the ring, a discussion has not yet been discussed. What am I talking about? So without further ado, let's talk about some juicy stuff that has happened over the past couple of months. First things first, I essentially dipped out of the whole YouTube thing around the time that Next Gen came out. I did do a video talking about Kingdom Hearts 3, playing it on the PlayStation 5, and seeing things like improved load times. But I haven't actually sat down and sort of talked about my Next Gen experience, so this is a pretty good starting point. PlayStation 5 is what I ended up going for. And as of right now, people are still clamoring to try get next-gen systems. Obviously, we're in a brand new, fresh year. Stock will be replenishing and people's craziness can start dying down towards getting one of these bad boys, whether it be the PlayStation or the Xbox. However, I kind of don't understand why people are going so fucking crazy over it. I think it's more of the status of owning a next-gen system rather than what you're actually going to be getting out of your next-gen system. And look, hey, I know that's rich coming from a dude that's holding one of these dildos in his hand as of right now. But owning one of the next-gen systems has sort of made it apparent and more clear to me that people don't need to get to a point of human combustion over actually owning one of these bad boys, because really, dude, honestly, I've been playing more PlayStation 4 games on this sucker than actual PlayStation 5 content, and I think that's the big thing as of right now. There's pretty much nothing to play new on these new systems. I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't really done overly too much gaming since the end of December up until about a week ago, which is kind of weird for me, but I really wanted to get out this summer and do a whole bunch of summer-based things, swimming, dying in the heat and swimming, just a lot of that. So I haven't really been playing overly too much games, but when I have been, it's really just been more so PS4 based games. Now, I loved Spider-Man Miles Morales, thought that was a nice little extra slice of Spider-Man goodness. Insomniac absolutely killed it with that. Though, of course, it's a mini installment, so the experience was pretty short-lived, but for the time that I was playing Miles Morales, I fucking loved it. Demon's Souls, I knew that this would happen with Demon's Souls. While I love a Bloodborne, I just, for whatever reason, cannot do Dark Souls. I think it comes down to the gameplay pace. But really, when I look at the gameplay pace of like Demon's Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, they're not overly too far and few between in sense of the gameplay pace, but there's just some weird thing where it's like I can't play them. And same goes for Demon's Souls. I just can't do it. While the game looks drop dead fucking gorgeous, I'm in awe. I literally like stare at the ground for about 5 minutes whenever I boot this game up, just counting each individual follicle of fucking dirt. Wait, what the fuck is a follicle of dirt? And each individual pebble and stone on the ground, that's probably about the most invigorating experience I'm going to get from Demon's Souls, because I can't play it for the life of me. We also have other games like Sackboy's Big Adventure and Bugsnax and whatnot. While I have dipped into both of these games, couldn't really do Bugsnax. Enjoying Sackboy's Big Adventure, there really isn't anything too crazy, but of course people also do have to keep in mind that's just kind of the way that next-gen systems go when they first launch. And I did make a video talking about comparing the PlayStation 5 lineup to previous other PlayStation lineups for console releases in the past, and the PS5's is pretty good, but this is just the way it works. Even though it is pretty good, there's still, it seems as if there's not overly too much to play. So yeah, I've been enjoying the PS5, but I feel like I'm not tapping into its true potential. You don't though when a new system comes out. So at this point, all of us nerds are just essentially playing the blue ball waiting game. We've got these amazing systems sitting here, but still there's nothing really out there just quite yet that's really harnessing what these systems can do. The same goes for Xbox, though. I gotta say, I know that stuff's starting to ramp up for the Series X in the ways of actual releases, but my god, what have you guys been doing since this console came out? But I'm not trying to take a shot at Xbox gamers or anything like that. Gamers are gamers at the end of the day, and this is by no means me trying to be a PlayStation fanboy or anything like that, but let's look at the facts. We had at least a little slice of salami on our platter when the PS5 came out. You guys had one singular fucking peppercorn. I don't even know what that peppercorn is. What have you guys been playing? Moving on over to the biggest disappointment in gaming history in a long time. Cyberpunk 2077, dude. Yeah, this was probably my most anticipated game of 2020. Had been probably one of my most anticipated games for a long time. I am avidly into Bethesda's Elder Scrolls as well as Fallout. The format of those games, the formula that they use, the open world, going to different locations, this has been a sort of genre that has been rinsed and repeated a lot over the course of time. And Cyberpunk was sort of meant to be the next big step in that format, open world, RPG. What the fuck happened, dude? Too many promises, too many high expectations, and I guess this was only inevitable. Cyberpunk was essentially described as being the game of games, the RPG of RPGs, the open world game of open world games, but well, it sort of comes down to exactly what system you're playing this game on. Mainly, if you're playing the game on PC, you're gonna have a pretty smooth running experience, but when looking on the console side of things, good lord almighty. Now, I have been enjoying Cyberpunk, though, due to the reception and also stumbling across issues of my own, it's kind of hard to sit down and enjoy the game for hours on end. I'm still needing to go back and really throw myself into a long sit-down period of just indulging in this buggy mess. But when the game is actually working, yeah, it is a lot of fun. I'm playing on the PlayStation 5, so if you are playing on next-gen systems, you're not going to run into as many issues as if you were playing the game on, say, obviously a PS4 or Xbox One, but issues are still prevalent. While yes, CD Projekt Red have released some hot fixes here and there, although a recent update that came out, which was 17 gigs, introduced a whole slew of new bugs. Yeah, dang it, these guys just cannot win. I've experienced probably about like 6 crashes so far with a total game time of maybe 6-7 hours, so that ain't too good. I've never had an experience where like I'm playing a new game and it's crashing this frequently. So Cyberpunk, bit of a mess. A hilarious situation, I gotta say, just with the way that the internet has been handling this stuff. The memes have been absolutely golden. The issue here, though, is the way that CD Projekt Red has been handling everything to do with this mess, with delaying updates that were promised to come out at the start of the year. Now no longer getting a next-gen update until later on in the year, which is, my god, come on, bruh. CD Projekt Red also released an apology explanation video earlier this month where Mr. Co-founder talks about some of the current issues with Cyberpunk, but to more so give us an explanation as to why Cyberpunk is running the way it is on old-gen systems. And this rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. The entire video just kind of seemed a little bit half-assed and sus, especially when looking towards the explanation. They pretty much gave us this whole, well, we essentially prioritized the game running on PC in the hope that the optimization for old-gen systems would be a walk in the park. That is the simplest explanation out of the information that we got out of this video that I can give you. It's my god. You guys are stretching the titty a little bit too far. People are starting to get slightly fed up. I'm kind of like, maybe I should just wait until later on in the year, even though I spent the fucking money at the end of last year to get this crazy experience. I feel like I'm going to be robbing myself. I've already been robbed, but robbing myself if I decide to actually dip into this experience right now with the state that the game is in right now. So yeah, I think I'm gonna tie-ho on Cyberpunk. A little bit sad. I cried. Of course I missed out on the Game Awards, but I honestly feel like I didn't really miss out on overly too much. Is this just me, or is the Game Awards each year just getting less and less interesting? I don't know. I mean, I get it. Last year, we went through a worldwide pandemic, and so in the ways of like video game announcements and whatnot, there wasn't really anything too crazy. There is actually one crazy thing that did happen, but aside from that, in the ways of the announcements and whatnot, nothing too mind-boggling. As well as that, like the actual awards, The Last of Us Part 2 basically won fucking everything. Look, dude, I am not a TLOU2 header. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience, and I feel like I'm gonna get crucified for saying that. But at some point, I would like to talk a little bit more about my time with The Last of Us Part 2. I don't think it's the worst thing to come out at all. I had a really good time with it. There's a few things there where I'm like, yeah, nah, maybe not, but for the most part I thought it was a fantastic game. However, did it deserve to win absolutely, pretty much for the most part, every single fucking award that was there? No, not really. So yeah, it got the Game of the Year. My personal Game of the Year was definitely the Final Fantasy VII Remake. My god, while I haven't experienced the original, I know that 7 is, for the most part, the most iconic Final Fantasy game, hence the reason 7 is getting a fucking remake. And it was just the perfect amalgamation of old meets new, with it being sort of action RPG, but not really. Voice acting and music was on point, and yes, actually, Final Fantasy VII did win something, and that was Best Music and Score. Very well deserved. My god, the soundtrack of Final Fantasy VII Remake is major props to the chef. It was also sad to see that Ghost of Tsushima didn't really win overly too much. That was a very close second for Game of the Year for me in 2020. It did end up winning Best Art Direction, very nice sucker punch, and it did end up winning Player's Voice, which is the Player's Choice of Game of the Year. So, well deserved. It was good to see that Ghosts ended up getting some nice recognition. I just would have liked to have seen the Final Fantasy VII Remake get into a few more slots, and The Last of Us Part 2 not have so many slots. I will definitely agree with the placement of audio design and accessibility for The Last of Us Part 2. The environmental sound effects with headphones on throughout TLO2 is just pretty fucking mind-blowing. They did an absolutely crazy job with the sound work of that game. And accessibility. I don't think there's been such an impressive accessibility system in any video game up until The Last of Us Part 2, and I think that's now creating a new standard for that side of things. So, fantastic to see all that, but yeah, don't exactly agree with a lot of the placements from last year. But hey, it's only inevitable. It's the Game Awards, no one's gonna be satisfied. Ever. Talking about announcements though, the craziest thing to of course come out is Sephiroth in Smash. What?! It was crazy enough getting Cloud back in 2015. No one saw that coming whatsoever. And we're seeing characters like Cloud, Joker, Bayonetta. It really goes to show that there is no character that is off the table, so long as they are representing that of a video game. This furthermore proves that idea with seeing one of the most iconic fucking video game villains of all time put into Smash. We now have the other counterpart of FF7 in the game, Sephiroth. My god. Compliments to the chef. Back 4 Blood has kind of got my attention. I used to be a massive Left 4 Dead fan, but I kind of dropped over time because I knew that Valve just simply didn't give a shit about this video game anymore. Would be nice to think that at some stage in the future, Left 4 Dead 3 will become an eventual thing, but the creators of Left 4 Dead decided to actually whip up their own spicy little paprika-filled fucking Kransky sausage and came out with Back 4 Blood, which is essentially a Left 4 Dead game. So it's good to see that we're getting a little bit more Left 4 Dead that's coming out this year. And that was definitely, for me anyway, one of the cooler announcements that came out of the Game Awards. There were 2 other big things that aren't really big for me personally, but like Dragon Age. We've known that there's going to be a new Dragon Age coming out at some point since 2018, back when it got unveiled. But yeah, got like a teaser thing. Cool, I really do need to throw myself into Dragon Age. And the same can also then be said for Mass Effect. Mass Effect is going to return. I look forward to that return after Andromeda, the absolute fucking mess that was. It'll be interesting to see how BioWare is going to take the Mass Effect series forward after all of that kerfuffle that ended up happening with the previous installment. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about in the ways of game announcements is Arc 2. Survival games don't interest me in the slightest. Tried them one too many times to give a shit now. I can't do them. But Arc 2, Vin Diesel, so I What are you doing here, son? I guess after the amazing success of the Fast and Furious game, good old Vindog, Big V over here, yeah, wanted to throw himself into yet another slice of video game goodness. But yeah, Vin Diesel is a character in Arc 2. There's gonna be an Arc 2. Just keep upgrading. Okay, well, there's gonna be a sequel to Ark, so hey, cool for the Arkians out there. But Vin, what are you doing here, my guy? Yoko Shimomura ended up releasing a Christmas version of Dearly Beloved on Christmas. On December 17th, Square Enix ended up trademarking Ever Crisis and The First Soldier, which relates directly to Final Fantasy VII. So at this point, a lot of us are thinking that this trademark, and this was in Japan by the way, means the next slice of the Final Fantasy VII remake. The First Soldier specifically though gets me really fucking interested. I mean, both Ever Crisis and of course First Soldier, but First Soldier leaning more towards Sephiroth. Also, these are two trademarks, so it makes me think that one of these will be the part 2 of the Final Fantasy VII remake, but what is the other one? Is it going to be some kind of spin-off game? I can't imagine so, unless they're trademarking both of which now. One title will release perhaps maybe this year, a smaller one, which would be considered like the spin-off, and then the part 2 of the Final Fantasy VII remake releasing 2022 or 2023. But it just seems kind of crazy to have two different trademarks right here. If one is going to be a spin-off, one is going to be a bigger game. That's a big workload for the boys and the ladies over at Square Enix. It would seem though that Ever Crisis might be the title to release first out of these two, as Ever Crisis has since been trademarked over in Canada and Europe. Canada on the 18th of January and Europe on the 19th of January. And then very recently it was also trademarked over in Australia on January 24th. So with the trademark being made in different countries over the course of the past month, it would almost seem as if an announcement is imminent. Wasn't exactly expecting to hear about any Final Fantasy VII remake news for at least another year or towards the end of this year. It has already been stated throughout last year that Square are pretty much in full-blown development of the next Final Fantasy VII remake title, but still, we only just got the Final Fantasy VII remake, so it's quite succulent to see this kind of stuff popping up so soon after the release of the very first slice. And the last thing I want to talk about, because the internet is absolutely losing their left titty over this, and that is the Resident Evil 8 lady. Big, tall, juicy woman. How about taking my disco stick for a whirl? I don't give a fuck if you are a vampire. You can suck back on these veins, baby. Do you mind stepping on me? Very hard. I don't give a flying baboon's butthole that her complexion is all off course. She can strangle my salamander anytime she wants. Throw me against the wall and let's perform the flying Komodo 6000. Oh! You see what I mean? You see what this new antagonist is doing to the brains of many nerds? Resi 8 though, yes, my god, aside from tall lady woman, I was a massive fan of Resident Evil 7. I loved the shift that Capcom did in the sense of the gameplay formula for Resi 7 being first person. That really brings that gritty Resident Evil atmosphere into a more immersive experience, especially if you are playing on VR. My one and only time completely going through Resi 7 was actually on VR. Because Resi 8 is actually coming out later on this year, I plan on going back through Resi 7 as a refresher, because of course we know that Ethan from Resi 7 is also the main protagonist of Resi 8. Resi 8 will also be VR compatible as well, so I cannot wait to have yet another experience like that again this year. Love the new setting as well, the Victorian fucking castle, and there's werewolves, and there's also she's got daughters too, Capcom, they're doing things right here, dude. But it looks like a good time. Horror-tastic. I love the direction that Resident Evil is going in. Keep it up, Capcom. You guys are killing it. So that is pretty much it, fellas. Just a bunch of nerdy stuff that I wanted to catch up on, as it has been a little while. I've missed out on a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Nothing too crazy. Again, in the ways of Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory as well. You guys are probably expecting me to talk about that at some point. Yes, I do plan on talking about that soon. And it won't be a Kingdom Hearts 3 situation. Or will it? Melody of Memory review coming in 2025. No, but seriously, we will be talking about MOM and my experience and thoughts and all of that good stuff very shortly, so please do stay tuned. Alright guys, that is all for today. Hopefully you turkeys are having an absolutely golden one. I'm Cynical, and until next time fellas, I'll catch you later.